Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of 10 Minute Kick-Ass Coaching. I am out on the road. I'm actually heading back to my office here in a few minutes, and I wanted to come out to you with a brand new subject today. This one is involving GPS tracking on vehicles. Now, this is obviously specific to service businesses, but that's pretty much what we talk about anyway. What would be unique to what we do that would regulate GPS? Well, I can tell you the first company that I'm aware of that even used GPS in a vehicle was like UPS or FedEx when it came to delivery. And one of the things that those companies would do is they would align their GPS with certain delivery options, like not making left-hand turns, always making right-hand turns, because most of the country you can make a legal right-hand turn with your vehicle without having to worry about, stopping or waiting at the light to burn up gas and not being on time for your delivery. So they started doing that, and that was highly effective for the most part. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they were doing it for quite a while, and it seemed to be pretty good. Vehicle always moved, was always in motion, and was always able to do it, even though at times it was supposed to make a left-hand turn. Just would not allow you to do that because the cost to spend for a vehicle sitting idle for a company like UPS would be obviously significant. So that's a big deal, but having your truck set on the field and having some monitoring equipment out there or GPS tracking to see when they are, where they've stopped, where the company truck is the company truck lost, whatever the case is important. Yes, very, very important. For various reasons. Safety is just one issue. Accountability is obviously another issue. Consistency is another issue. So having some GPS tracking in the truck is as simple as having the phone, the company phone, that you may give an employee or technician. You can track it from that standpoint, to more fancier ones where, they have cameras from the front and back to take a look and see what the particular technician is doing. But what it does is adds a certain layer of accountability to it, that you are where you are and doing what you say you're doing. Now, I mean, it's not always needed for everybody in the company, but when it comes to service vehicles doing actual work themselves, I think it's crazy not to have it. You don't want your vehicle lost. I can tell you firsthand, I've had people that have gone 20 miles out of the way the wrong way because they thought they knew where they were going and they weren't, and I didn't catch them until they were, 20 miles. In this particular case, about 40 minutes out of the way. Tremendously costly, tremendous expense. You have two people in a truck. You have the expense of fuel, the expense of not being on the job site, not being able to take on all the jobs at the dedicated time that you are supposed to be taking them on. So it's varied. Plus, the technicians are doing what they say they're doing. They're at the house for the period of time. They're not saying, hey, we left Mrs. Jones' house at 2 o'clock, when they actually left Mrs. Jones' house at 1 o'clock, and they've just been driving around, screwing around, maybe not wanting to pick up new jobs, maybe just wanting to go and run their errands on company time. There's a variety of reasons they could do something like that, but first and foremost, you have to make sure that you're keeping them accountable to what they're doing. Also, a big issue most people are not even aware of, and probably would not be, is if you're billing for hours on a job. You're logging your hours. So let's say that your technicians are at a job site and they're supposed to be there for 3 hours each person, or 6 man hours, and you're billing for 6 man hours. You don't want a customer calling you saying, well, they were here for 1 hour, they came here from 10 till 10:50, and at 10:50 they got their truck packed up, and by 11 o'clock they're on the road, when you're billing for the 2 or 3 hours each, when actually they're only putting in an hour. You can't sustain that. Now, if part of your agreement is travel time's included, that's part of the time for there, then that's fine. You've got a little bit of a buffer to work with. But if you don't have that, if you don't have those types of things in place, then you, without a doubt, 100% have to have something in place to track those hours, so when you bill them, you can account that when Mrs. Smith says you were there for 50 minutes plus packing the truck, that you were in fact there for 3 hours. We have the truck logged. We know it was there. We know if they were at the job site, the only thing they could have been doing is sitting in the truck. And if that's the case, certainly there's going to be some proof of that. But other than that, it's really not much they can do. You're expounding on the fact that you're there doing the work and billing for the hours according to protocol in your business. So another issue for that is camera safety. Like my particular phone can and often does records what's in front of me. So if I'm working in the city, I have the camera on the phone facing forward, and I'm using it as a camera to I'll take whatever I got. I can record. I have software programming where I can record what I'm doing and for the period of time I'm doing it. So if I'm traveling an hour between one of those, I turn it on and it records it. And if I don't need it because I didn't have any problems, any complications, then I can delete it and go with a brand new thing of it. You have those ops on the program to go for short trips. You could also get more complex, either buying another phone or an actual dash camera to have it, which eliminates where they're at. It shows the truck. It shows if it's always on. It shows that the guys were getting into the truck and just sitting there and not actually doing work on the job, or saying they took 3 hours, but really again it's back to the 1 hour, and they just kind of sat in the truck and ate lunch and told jokes and whatever the case was. So the front dash camera can secure the standpoint of anything going on in front of you, somebody accusing you of something, hit and run, anything that could possibly happen. What are the options when it comes to that? And that's a key option, knowing when the technician's ridden out of the truck, because obviously it's recording not just video, but it's recording audio. And you can do this as a company truck. You just have to disclose it up front that you will be recording, the trips or whatever the case is with technicians in the field. I mean, you don't have to go gangbusters with it. I don't say that, but I mean, having that in there is an extra layer of insulation. So we're just to recap real quick. Safety standpoint, having a camera in the front and a camera with listening to the technicians, or a camera in the truck, maybe up here in the corner or whatever, that could be looking down to see what's in the truck. That is a possibility, depending on how far you want to go with it. It also tells, another reason for having GPS is to track where the trucks are and if they're lost, and if they're on the job, if they're on the job and if they've made it to the job site. Number 3 is where the truck might be. Is the truck already sitting in the truck for 2 hours, saying they're working for 3 hours, and actually they're only working for 1 hour, and they're just going to sit in the truck and screw around for the other 2 hours. That's a key point of accountability. So I think GPS tracking is really good, just because it's the manager that's there without the manager having to be there. I've gone into facilities where they've had, and I have had to a certain degree. In my office back in Pennsylvania, I had a computer screen, and on the computer screen I could split up between each truck wherever it was. So if I had a truck in, let's say in Pennsylvania, East Stroudsburg, I had a truck in Broadheadsville, I had a truck in Scranton, I had a truck in Hazleton, whatever that case may be, I knew where these trucks were, so at any given time I could just pull up my screen. I didn't have it as fancy as where I had a separate TV screen where I could just look at all the time. I could have done that, but in real time I could log right onto the program on the computer and see where the trucks were, where they actually in fact going where I said they're supposed to go. I might have told them, make sure you take local roads because it's good for traffic, for people to see our vehicles and see what we do. So even though it's going to take a little longer, I'm willing to pay you more time to drive a little bit longer, to drive main traffic routes instead of driving highways where somebody wasn't. Well, that gave me the ability to track it and see, were they in fact driving those regular roads versus the highways. So it's a tremendous accountability tool, tremendous tool to track and manage your employees, where you just couldn't do it before. You're at the mercy of them getting in a truck and maybe monitoring some phone calls from time to time. If they use a company phone, most people now have private phones, or maybe they do have a company phone for the most part. It gives you the leverage to track and hold people accountable, to be where they're at, what they're doing, and what's going on right there at that current time, what is coming to you in real time. So hopefully that explains to you a little bit more about what that is, and that having GPS tracking offers many different reasons. Tracking safety on the truck, tracking safety of the drivers, tracking accountability in the drivers, and really coming home with doing that. Not that expensive to do. GPS tracking in a truck for companies pretty inexpensive. It used to be a lot more expensive at one point. It's not anymore, because there's so many mediums out there for everything from just regular Wi-Fi signal on the phone on a monthly rate, so that if you have using a phone for accountability, your phone rate might be $30 to $50 depending on the plan you have. Especially if you're on commercial or fleet plan, you could really save money. So that company phone stays there. As soon as the guys get in, they can take the phone and kind of do that if they wanted to, or go right back to the way it was. So you could track everything from that standpoint, so they could still use whatever they're using, whether it be the GPS, whether that be anything. You can use those tools that are available to you at a low and very reasonable cost. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I hope you have a great Monday. This is a brand new episode of 10 Minute Kick-Ass Coaching, and we've got plenty more to go, and we're going to get into our case studies really soon. Case studies are pretty cool. I just could go into it like on a small level. Case studies are pretty cool because we're actually going to be using different examples for different coaching clients I have. So it's going to be breaking it down. Also, what we're going to be launching here in the near future, I've been talking about it for a while, it's called 50-minute fireside. That's 50 minutes of fireside. And that's going to be an open call coaching call where we're going to have maybe possibly another speaker, another presenter on there about a particular subject. And it's going to be an open forum. So you can go sign on to our Zoom software and interact with questions that you may have about a particular subject. So the subject may be GPS tracking, and we have maybe an expert in there, or if we don't have an expert in there, certainly I can moderate it and we can discuss things and get things out on the table and talk about a particular coaching subject, a particular subject that applies to a business to make it more profitable, streamlined, efficient, and correct. So we're going to be doing the 50-minute fireside coming up soon. And these case studies are going to be part of the 10-minute kick-ass coaching. So it'll be 10 minutes on, first one we're going to have is on a landscaping business client of mine and how we're able to achieve results. So I'm going to break down probably 4 or 5 different businesses in total, and we're going to do a little case study, 10-minute case study on each of those companies and what they were about and what changes we saw in the business and how we saw tremendous growth in every single one of them. So it's like I said, it's the things you don't know that you don't know, as one of my mentors, Gary Henson, said. It's realizing the things that you don't know that you don't know. You don't even know these things exist, so you just are unaware of the upside leverage you can use versus downside risk. And we're going to get into what downside risk and upside leverage are at a different time. It's really a J. Abraham term, but I understand it very, very well, being a very long-term student of J. Abraham. Understand the difference between the two and how you need to look at everything you're doing as one of those two and where the potential is. Okay? So, again, case studies coming up, 50-minute fireside, and then the potentials of upside and downside. All right? Thank you so much. Have a great Monday. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.